first one on the top, and maybe the only one or two. Um, Counts for 10 points. I'm using point system to gather to 100 points for the whole class. And your job is creating a web page, a website which has multiple page, 4 pages. Okay. And it used to be we're using just Notepad, the simplest editor to create HTML page, but that's very fundamental. I have pre-recorded video. If you want to learn it the more traditional way, it's all there. I'm going to try a different approach this time. There's a learning journal, which means you would document how you did it, particularly with large language model or whatever tool that you're using. That's a separate submission. I mean, there's two submissions. One is your website, you zip everything, all your file, and then you submit that, and also you submit a learning journal. And this is the requirement, a Word document, and we're going to look at this document. And for Mac user, you don't have to pay too much attention to this Mac user because that's kind of talking about the more traditional editor. So let me just use download to download it under download folder. The beginning is very similar to what I just told you. You don't need to host the website into somewhere that I can have access to. But officially, if you build a website, you want people to have access to it, you need to find a web hosting service provider and then post it over there. Okay, we're not if you do some research, you can figure out how to do it. You can find some really even free hosting service to do it for you. And basically, I need 4 pages. Okay, let me jump to kind of a visual explaining that. If you scroll down, a website's a collection of web pages, and those pages are probably related to each other and most likely can link to each other. So in this case, we have 4 pages, index.htm, and sometimes we call it .html. That's okay. If you have a web page, static web page, it's .htm or .html. The extension has to be named that way. Okay, it's a pure text file. When you open it up, you can open it up with any text editor, even most primitive text editor, you can view it. Okay, and we're going to see that. I got a page, resume is kind of your resume page. So if you even you have PDF linking, I want you to create at least a simple resume page with your educational background, job experience, and your specialty whatsoever. The resource is just a bunch of, so just a little bit in terms of what's the requirement. You need to have an image in this homepage, and we call this homepage. Homepage, web page are kind of different. Homepage is all the pages are web page. Homepage usually means the entry point to your website. The first page most of people are going to see, that's the homepage. And usually it's called index.htm, index default.htm, or even default.aspx or PHP, whatever. So usually there's some default name. So use just index. If you name it .html, that's fine with me, but be a little bit consistent. So has an email. Oops, sorry, that should be a link. Has a link to maybe my email address or something. It's not critical. Resume, I want you to use the table tag to create a table so that your experience, your job experience kind of align properly. And by the way, when we say table, doesn't mean it show with borderline table, but you see things line up like 3 column, 2 column. We're using table. Got it? In HTML. That's what table is used here. Resource, just a bunch of link is a order listing or bullet listing or order listing like 1, 2, 3. Those are my 3 favorite websites related to this topic. Okay, I want something like that. So you know how to create link because What is HTML? HTML is a markup language to create document which can be shared. So it's a standard. How to share? People use browser. Any kind of browser can view the same document. Okay, so it's a markup language. It's not a programming language. So keep that in mind. It's called hypertext markup language. What is hypertext? Those links you click, that's hypertext. Not sequential, jumping around, very flexible. Okay. So this resource page basically just say, hey, you need to understand how to create a link. Okay, a bunch of links, how you create a list. Survey is creating a form. Okay. Web page, the different kind of web page. Most traditional web page are static, which means unless you change the page, the content will be the same every time you hit the page. Okay. And web initially it's one-way communication. I post something for everybody, for all of you to see. One way. How to make it two-way? Form, HTML form. You can fill out something, submit it. You send, as a user, you send something back to me. Got it? Okay. That's how we make web an interactive media. And in the very primitive level, it's still the case. We need HTML form. Okay. But when you send something back to me, I need to have a program on the web server. Web server don't know how to handle your data. They capture the data, but the processing, you rely on additional, we call it server-side program to say, okay, you submit your name, your age, your whatever, then I can generate a dietary plan for you. I have a program that has that logic business rule to decide how to respond to you. And that server-side program will take your submitted data, sometimes even go back to the database, find something using your parameter, generate some HTML code dynamically, return that back to you. So you're seeing the result. Got it? We're not doing server-side programming, okay, in this class. It's all static web page, but form give you a taste of how to create a form to capture some data. Okay. So you need to learn how to do form. A few detailed information, read it carefully. This is a little bit at the markup level, like image tag, you need to have an alternate attribute to be, we call it 508 compliances. For all the image, I mean, it's a tagging language. I'll explain that when we look at the code. Also, I want you to have, let's say, has a link to your email at the bottom of your homepage, such as this. This is just the syntax to create a link to an email. Okay. When people click on it, and then a link to my faculty website, which is not very, it's very primitive. Resume, you need to use table. We covered that. And by the way, all your page should have on the top, all the 4 pages should have some very primitive navigation bar. So I can, any page, any of those 4 pages, I can jump to any other pages. From home to resume, from resume to survey, whatsoever. Got it? Navigation is very important. In the design, having that navigation mechanism is very important. And typically, even a complex website, a lot of time it's a kind of hierarchical tree structure. Homepage, some major area, and sub area, and eventually some pages. But you allow them to go kind of any way they want it, whatever makes sense. You don't want to make it too wild, too complicated. They can go up one level, go back to home, always anywhere you are. I want you to go back to home. You can go one level up. You can kind of see what's underneath you. That's one way to organize it. So that's kind of style. This is, I'll show you this later. I used to have another hosting service to write a server-side program, but that service changed over the year. I think last year or so. If I don't use it like for a month, they took out that the program doesn't work. If I haven't used it for like 3 months, they take out my account or something like that. But I couldn't remember like, oh, I have to try to use it a little bit. Okay. So eventually I was doing something else and eventually I found alternative. It's not perfect. It still have some limitation. I'll tell you what's the limitation. So the form, remember when you submit the data to a form, I have to handle that. Okay. This program is a generic program that basically just say, oh, you send me this, this, and this. This is what you send me. So I'm returning that back to you. So it's generic template to show you what you have sent me. Okay. When you run it, the first time it may not work. And also it takes a while for them to respond and tell you it doesn't work. Because this program, I'm using a free service. So if that program hasn't been used for like 15 minutes, they shut it down. If somebody hit this program, it take about a minute for them to bring that alive. And then so your first submission may not work. So try to submit again because it will be alive. Okay. When you use free service, that's the downside. If you pay, they will keep that program alive, but then they use their resources. Okay, that's why you have to pay. And this is in your phone action tag. Action just server side program. The action. And by the way, since we're here, just give you a little bit. When we say tag, what is tag? Angle bracket. Like phone is the phone tag. Just in general, and some of the tag has attribute. Okay, you can have to think, oh, like for form, it's a little bit complicated to say, oh, what program should I forward? I mean, once I'm on the server side, which program should I send my data to? And this is the program. So the action attribute is where the server program is. Okay. And here I just explain what I just told you, some limitation of the server side program. Since I'm not paying for it, it's a free service. So we're kind of limited to that. So you may actually, the first time you hit it, you may see something like this. That's kind of weird. Okay. Say allocate computing resource. They kind of bring that program to life, allocating some virtual machine running it. So it take a while to bring that alive. And then finally it's ready. And so you may get an error message, try to resubmit. If you want to test it yourself, I would test it when you submit. Just make sure you do have that action attribute set up properly. This you have to set it up exactly what you have been told. Got it? Okay. So read this requirement a little bit. Don't be scared. It's actually, I'll show you some easy way to, let's try VS Code. And then I'll show you a few other tools, also the tool within VS Code. Okay. Go to module. It's actually module 3. I separate that so the VS Code is in module 3. Okay. The tool, VS Code. If you haven't set it up, click on it. You come to VS Code's website. This is open source. It's a free software. Microsoft kind of behind it, but it's open source. Microsoft has a product called Visual Studio.net, which I've been using for many years before. VS Code is kind of their open source version. So it's still called, we usually just call it VS Code, but it's a Visual Studio. Most of people just call it VS Code. And we call it You haven't seen it, but we call it IDE, Integrated Development Environment, which is an integrated programming development environment. When you do coding, you need tool. The tool, a really good tool is called IDE, Integrated Development Environment, Integrated Programming Environment. And if you're using Mac, you probably will say download for Mac, right? The browser detect what operating system you use, so you're downloading the right version. So download and install it, okay? And then this is what it looks like. There's some information. Don't worry, just download it first, okay? Make sure you can bring that up. Okay, I will give you some time to just make sure you, and eventually it's called VS Code. If it's a window, I'm using window. Once it's installed, it's VS Code, and then if you click on it, suppose something like this will show up. Okay. Um, okay. Don't worry too much. I will let me kind of shift gear a little bit while everybody at this stage, which means you have your VS Code ready to run. Okay. We can do something simple. VS Code has kind of AI powered assistant to help you to do the coding. Let's try to use ChatGPT or Gemini to help us, okay, to do some simple HTML coding. And by the way, this is usually people, frankly speaking, people probably don't use this for building web page. This is usually for Python coding, C++, or Java, whatever. This is for multiple language, but that need additional setup. Okay. For HTML, it's kind of built in. There's several ways you can do it. I will encourage you to try what I'm going to show you. Let's try ChatGPT. It's not perfect, by the way. When I say perfect, it's not one shot after you got everything. You can try to upload my requirement document. Just upload. That's my assignment. Do it for me. Okay. And you may get some really good result. It may not be perfect. Okay. But I encourage you to, well, say it. I encourage you to kind of take a step by step, one step at a time. So small steps. So when you do something, you kind of can understand what's going on. You can verify it easily, and then you ask, oh, you forgot this. You should do this. Your phone should pointing to the server side program. Here's the link. Got it? Instead of give everything, okay? Because then they generate something maybe too complicated even for you to digest or to learn. The purpose is certainly one purpose. You learn how to use some of the AI tool in this tool, but at the same time, learning some basic, because at the end of the day, learning those basics is still important, even we have powerful AI tool to help us. Okay. Let's just build a simple homepage. Okay. Create. I'll just use simple HTML. Let me just use HTML page. To that has my file. Okay, that's it. One thing you may want to do, I'm not sure whether that's the best, but you could, oh, where is it? Let me see. Let's just say 5.2. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Let me just make it. Yeah, I'm looking for this canvas. Okay. I enlarge my browser, so it's at the bottom. That's canvas. Let me explain Canvas I think Gemini also has Canvas. Canvas is almost like a, a writing area. They will put the content in that canvas, including the code. It's code, they put it over there. Instead of just the response, it's a kind of a little bit separate area that they would place the output. So let's just do that. So this is a simple single page. So they're generating the code, okay. And it's a single file, no external dependency, responsible, readable on mobile. And by the way, there's some technical term. Let me just briefly explain this responsive and readable mobile on mobile. Responsive just means the website, the web page will adjust based on your device. That's called responsible web design. Okay, that's what it meant there. Style just enough to look modern without being flashy. Okay. One way you're seeing something that's a little bit too much for beginner. You see their style, most of them, it's not necessary. If you get a, you're not going to be graded in terms of your style. Okay, as long as you have necessary information, looks clean, should be sufficient. Don't, I mean, certainly you're welcome to learn, but a lot of this just like the layout, the margin, the font, whatever that we call a style sheet. Okay, this is style sheet to make it looks better. But then the question is like, okay, so how should I test it? Okay, assuming this, you can. Oh, why don't we do download? Yeah, they got download, so why don't we do that? Okay, you can just download it. Let's do this. I'm going to just create a folder. Just say assignment one. I'll just say A1 for assignment one. And this is index.html. Okay. I haven't explained some of the tag. I will explain the tag just for information. Okay. So now I open it up. It's here. I think on my system, you can certainly say open with, just choose a browser. I think default may be the Google Chrome on my computer. So you double click, you may get it. So this is the page already. Okay. Your name, because I did not tell the system what's my name. So they have a placeholder. Your name. And then I'm a brief that doesn't make sense. It's just a short bio describing who I am, what I do, and etc. Okay, and even a copyright. So so far so good. Let's look at the code. Okay. Um, and assuming everybody has VS Code set, everybody okay with VS Code set up properly? Okay. If you set up properly, if you follow me so far, let's try to switch switching gear. Okay. Which means you create HTML page. Let me trace back. I have a simple prompt in ChatGPT. I choose Canvas. I say create index.html page for me. Put it in Canvas. They did something. Go ahead and study what it is, assuming it's okay. We download it locally. We put it in the folder. Okay, that's important. Okay, so far so good. So we put that in the folder, and then Oh, what is this? This is a little bit tricky. Okay. You say open folder on your computer. If you're Mac, and then I'm not that familiar with Mac, but Mac hope still have the folder concept. You open that whatever folder. You always need to know where you put your stuff, okay? Under download, under document, under desktop, you need to know where they are. Okay, you can say, well, I did it, but I don't know where that is. Okay, then I cannot help you with that. So it's in my case, that's the folder. You didn't say anything because they only need a folder. They don't show the file under the folder. You say select folder. And something will pop up and say, do you trust the author? Yeah. You're on your computer, you trust yourself. So you say yes. I don't think there's any dangerous and stuff. Yeah, uh, my screen doesn't show up totally. Um, let me, hmm, hmm. Oh, I see. Let me, it's a little tricky. Okay. Um, Allow me to give me a little bit time to, okay, let me try from this version. It's the same VS Code, but let me just uh, open folder, try it again. Uh-uh, does it work? I thought I opened, oh, it's still like this. Come on. Um, let me let me think about it. I may need to, I hate to shut down the system. Um, it's like the whole application is not just occupy my whole screen. They're kind of outside my screen a little bit, so I cannot see the maximum minimize some of the icon on the borderline. Um, oh, okay, okay. Ew, that's weird. That's too big. Let me do this. Okay. Okay, that's better. Finally. There we You should be able to see this, right? Okay. Let me explain just HTML. Some of you may know HTML tagging. You don't need to worry too much. There's always a HTML tag, which is HTML, end of HTML. They always come, let me just use the example. The tag always come in mostly in pair. You have a beginning tag like that title, something in between, and you have an end of the title tag. Okay, they come as pair. There are some tag that don't have an ending tag. Okay, but more and more, most of the tag has an ending tag. So we have HTML tag, we have this header tag, and then the style sheet is in your header tag, end of the style sheet. Don't worry about the style. That's the end of the heading section. And there's a body tag and end of the body tag, and then end of the HTML tag. So HTML, head, body, beginning and beginning and end for HTML. That's it. And let's look at what we need to change. Um, like your name. You can certainly And for instance, this strong is basically almost like a boldface, but we call it strong, which could be italics text, whatever. Just say instead of I am a brief, this is a brief and friendly bio describing who I am. That's better. Okay. Um, and your name. So you kind of make changes. Okay. Um, by default, I believe when you make the change, the file is saved automatically. It's auto save. Okay. There's a setting that you can change that, but I found autosave seems to be okay. Okay. Which means you don't have to say save to save it. It's safe. What does that mean? If you save it, if you have the browser open to that index.html earlier, you can just refresh. You find out the change has been made. This is how you test it. Okay. You added a little, you created, you added a little, modify a little, you view it, you added a little, you view it right away. For development, a web page or programming, although you may not be doing programming, or I think for a lot of things, do a little, test a little is the best strategy. Don't do like the whole 9 yards and then, oh, it doesn't work. And then you don't know what's wrong because too many steps and you don't know which step you fumble. Do once it's working, although very primitive, take one step further and see when it's still working. What's the new feature? If it doesn't work, sometimes you roll back. You say, oh, let's go back. And at least I know this area that I just did causing the problem. Make sense? Do a little, test right away. Okay. Do step by step. And you also learn step by step. If it's too ambitious with AI tools, do the whole 9 yards for me and they come up with something that may be overwhelming, then you don't really understand what's going on. Okay. But I have to admit, up to a certain point, I may not care everything that has been generated, but I still want to have some high level framework picture, know what's going on. Okay. I don't just like the start cascading style sheet. I don't care too much. Okay. When I say I don't care too much, if you're using AI tool, which I'm going to show you a little bit, you kind of still need to tell the system, if not in the technical terms, say, well, use yellow for the title. I want the font to be bigger. But if you know the technical term, you say, change the style sheet. So I want the margin to be 0.5 point or whatever. Okay. You can be more precise. Okay. In your conversation with the AI tool. Just like if you know how to talk to the IT department, they respect you, they're more efficient. If you say something they don't quite understand, if they still try to be helpful, but they may not do things that you wanted because you're not telling them exactly what you wanted in the right term. Make sense? Okay. There's one thing. Let's see whether you can quickly set up. Okay. I'll point out I'm flipping back and forth a little bit. There's something called GitHub. Okay. And GitHub, this is a little bit technical. It's a code repository. Nowadays, if you do programming, you find out a lot of people create their sample program on GitHub, share with almost like the public. Sometimes you save it just for your own sake. Version control is like I create a version that's working. I save a version. When I make some changes, I save another version. The system keep track of all the versions. So just in case you screw up down the road, you can say, oh, roll back. Okay, that's version control. And it can become very tricky, like multiple users working on the same project, then you definitely need something like this. One thing, this is a little bit complicated. Let me see whether I have information here. It may not. It's a little bit tricky, but let's try to get a GitHub account. If you go to GitHub, use your CI email to get an account. Okay. And don't worry about using it, but just go to github.com. They may ask you to create a new, just say, login or create an account, you create an account. Okay. Use your CI email. Okay. Down the road, that as a student, they may give you more powerful AI assistant tool. But for now, I think even for free account, we should have access to some tool. Okay. We need to experiment because I set up so I have a pro account, but I want to see how they work out for you out there. So go to GitHub and create an account for the moment. Okay. Is it working? Somebody has GitHub already set up? Raise your hand. GitHub set up. Let me, I want to, we just set up or you have it for a while? Hmm? Okay, so can you on that? Then just say type GitHub something. I'm not sure that I have a GitHub check on that. Oh, you installed it already. You should already install it. Okay. In another which class? I see. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Did you just set up or you just set up? So go to VS Code. No, VS Code. Okay. So we just set up. Oh, you just okay. You just get out of town. You just set up extension. Okay, that's good. That proved mine. That's why I need. Okay. So it seems to be working. Let me show you the following. In terms of set up something, we call it GitHub Copilot chat, which you need to get. I believe you need a GitHub account. I'm not even 100% sure. Let's try to click here. By the way, there's a bunch of icons here on the left-hand side. Okay. Let me briefly mention, I mean, you can move all, hop over it. You see that's explore. That's all your file. Okay. Your file, your folder, the folder you open, the search function. This is version control, source control, version control. Don't worry about it. We most likely we're not going to use it. Okay. This is for debugging. We're not doing programming, so debugging is not critical for us. But if you're doing programming, sometimes debugging just means that when you run the program, sometimes it just doesn't work, but you don't know where they screw up. You can set so-called what is this called? You can set certain I'll make up the term stop point. Okay, run it up to this point, and then you can see what the variable looks like. What's the value for this variable at this point, and then you can continue. So you can almost like step by step running your code. Okay. Oops, sorry. Come to extension. Oops, sorry. Click on this icon. Okay, that's called extension. And most likely you're going to find if you don't see it, just say GitHub, and you're going to see GitHub Copilot chat. Okay. There's another one called GitHub Copilot, but that's the most current recommendation is use the chat version. GitHub Copilot. Okay. If you click on it, if you never install it, then this should be installed. Then you click on install, then you're installing it. You're installing extension. So this is kind of a strategy. I have a base tool, but it doesn't do everything. And people building extension, it's like plugin. So I can extend the capability of the VS Code. Got it? That's what the extension is for. So it should looks like what I have on the screen. It should be uninstall. Uninstall just means it's installed. The extension, you have to, first of all, on the left-hand side, you click on this guy. You click on this. And then in the search box, you just type GitHub, and then eventually you find the GitHub Copilot chat. Got it? Any question? Everybody okay? Okay. And by the way, setting up is one of the major hurdles in my experience. I mean, some people go through it without problems. Sometimes I have trouble setting certain things up. But it's very critical that everybody has a nicely set up environment that we can use, which will make your life much easier. And by the way, for the assignment, just backtrack as a fallback place. You can watch the whole video and then use Notepad or text edit on Mac. You can do the whole assignment one, okay, if you want, okay. But I wanted to try the new way. If you click again, then this, sorry, if you click back here, the Explorer, you have this index.htm, right? Let me, and oh, by the way, this extension, you can close it, okay, because you don't need that. And you can see this is our HTML code. Let me try to do two things. Okay. Well, from this point on, I'll show you how we use the Copilot chat, GitHub Copilot chat to help us to do certain things. Still step by step. Okay, not too ambitious. Ready? Okay. But before that, if you have something, let me see, download. If you have an image somewhere, okay, I got an image that I generated. It doesn't matter what image. Eventually, it will be your photo, a picture of yours. Okay, but for now, just any image. Okay, let me see when there's any interesting image. I'm going to just use this one. I can drag and drop the image into this folder. I don't like it that much. Really. Let me just get a picture of mine. Yeah, that's a nice, really nice picture of mine. Attend a conference, somebody who love to take photo. Start taking photo for a group of us, the 3 faculty members here, take photo individually. And he took several, and this is, I'll use this one. Love it. Made me looks really good. Okay. It's a little bit deceiving, by the way. Let me just change the name, make it a little bit simpler so I can refer to it a little bit easier, although from the programming side doesn't matter. So I'm going to say Minder. Okay. You can use a cat and dog for now. Any picture will do. Okay, just for exploring it. Now the question is, how can I get a picture into this homepage? That's one of the requirements. Your homepage needs to have a picture. Remember? Okay. You do need to read the requirement. The requirement, I mean, the assignment document tell you you have to do this, you have to do that. If you look at, I do have a HTML slide deck tell you image tag, how you include the image. One thing that's important is that, if I may emphasize again, put all your web page, image, whatever asset that you use in the same folder. Okay. Now let's ask the Copilot. Okay, let me just refer to as a Copilot. Highlight this index.htm, and over here, let me explain this. So there's almost like three panels. Okay, one is right now Explorer. You look at your file. One is sometime that's your image. Let me close that. This is your HTML page. This is the chat, the AI chatbot, coding chatbot. Okay. Let me intentionally a little bit vague in my prompt, which means that please include my photo to my web page. Okay. More precisely, I should say include the minder.jpg image into index.html page. Okay, that's the most precise instruction. But let's see when they're smart enough can understand the fuzzy instruction. Okay, just a little bit. Agent asked edit plan. I usually just use agent asked and occasionally plan. Edit, I never even try it. Okay. Let me just show you another thing. I'll come back and explain what that is. They support multiple models. You see this 0x, 1x, whatever, that's the kind of, you're giving certain rate, like, or money that you can use. This is free, by the way. For instance, you can call this 100 times, and then 1x just means if you call it this, it depends on really what you send, but anyway, they start kind of meter your usage. If it's a 3x, we have 3x, that's the most powerful one. If you use it, they charge you more. Even you're doing something simple, they charge you more. Got it? There's some free one. Certain you can, if you're running out of quota, then go to the 0x. Okay. So they support multiple model, including our GPT codex. Okay. I actually have a codex here, but let's forget about it. I personally, I even get confused a little bit. Like if I have two agents from different company working, sometimes I forgot like which one I'm talking to right now. So don't worry. But here you're allowed to talk to Codex under the Copilot. Let's see. Let's try the agent mode. Agent is more, and agent mode auto just means you let the agent Copilot decide which model to use. Because something simple, they call the cheapest one. There's something more complex, they call the more powerful one. That makes sense, right? Okay. See whether that will work. I'm not using a very precise prompt because I may, okay, add your photo file next to index.html as a photo.jpg. If the file name differ, tell me exact name so I can update the image source. So yeah, okay, so they're not so smart. So I'm going to say it is. Let me just click the right mouse button on this image file. I'll just say copy You can certainly type it, but just let me see. I'll just say this is the image file. See what happened. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're going to see something here. You're going to see they added the image tag over here with source pointing to my image here. Alternate, they automatically did it for me. By the way, if you miss the ALT, like 0.5 will be deducted because that's actually for file a accessibility standard compliances. Okay, for government website, even CI website, that's required. Okay, what does that mean? If somebody who may be visually impaired, when they still use a website, they may have a reading software reading the web page back to them. But when the reading software read to bump into image, they don't know what to say. Oh, there's an image here. Okay. Author say, oh, there's a photo of Mingyur Chen. Okay. So even the particular user may now be to see the photo. They say, oh, there's a photo there. Got it? Yes.
And you just added that automatically?
In this case, they add the AI tool added.
Should we document our Copilot chats in the room here, Montu?
That's a good idea. Let's try later a little bit how you can document it properly without too much effort. Okay. When you document it, most likely you just need to tell me the prompt that you use. You don't have to kind of show the result because I'll see the final result. Intermediate step, it's too tedious. It end up to be too tedious. It's not worth documenting all of that. Unless something important. You say, I tried this and then they gave me something like this. It doesn't work, and then it took me a while to fix it. So the green, it looks like green. Green just means it's something new, so you will keep it. Here we don't see red. Red is something they're going to delete. Okay. But typically I would. Okay, this is actually for that style for the photo. Okay, they added. It's autosave. Hopefully your auto. I think by default it's autosave. So where is my? Wow, they put it there. Okay, that's better than I thought. Even with the circle. Okay, unexpected. Okay, I thought it just showed it. And by the way, for a lot of you, you may have a very high resolution photo, which is very big. A lot of you just put it there. So when I open it up, I can only see part of it. This is a better way. They resize the photo. But that's pretty. That's where you need a style sheet. I don't even know how to do the circle one. That's where this, yes.
About like how pretty it was?
No?
No, okay. So it just has to have like the basic.
But have fun was make it
Yeah.
like more appealing. Got it? Okay. Let's look at. I'm just very curious where they do the circle. Oh, there's a border is radius. That's the trick. They have the width and the height. You can read a little bit. Object fit, cover, display, block margin, border solid, block shadow. Yeah, I think it's this radius, which means that little circle. And this width and height, it's resizing it with a precise dimension. Got it? Okay, so you can kind of read a little bit. If you ask me how to write it, I don't know how to write it, but if you say, oh, I want to be a little bit bigger, then you can double it up like 320, right? Then you get a little bit bigger. Let's try that. I'll just say. And then, yeah, it's bigger, right? But and by the way, just this is from user interface on viewpoint. Yeah, it looks impressive. Okay, nice picture render. But the people need to come back again and again. They get sick and tired of looking at this picture. They want something else. That's why your logo doesn't have to be big. Okay, from a user interface design viewpoint, you always need to thinking about how the user will react. First time it may be good, but if they're using your website again and again, this is probably not good. Okay. If you have version control, ideally, we're not going to do it. You can say, let's fall back. So we can, instead of try to fix it here. Let me show you one more thing, then we'll take a break. We're still going to rely, and by the way, this is get the chat, get rid of it. Okay. I'm going to create another page. Remember, it's a 4-page, right? Instead of one chart, give me 4 pages, and those are the page name. I want them to have a navigation bar to connect all of them, and I want a form and this, whatever. Do it one at a time, okay? I would recommend that instead of too smart of uploading my assignment and say, do it for me. They probably would do it, okay? If you do that, you most likely you're not learning anything, okay? So in this case, we're going to say, so we have resume page, we have a resource page. So I'll just say create HTML page. To some extent, even the file name doesn't matter, but make sure that your home page is called index.html, index.html. And make sure the other page has your resume, has a list of resources of interesting website and a form. Okay. Page, you can describe a little bit containing, let's say, 3, you can phrase it differently. 3 useful link to website about AI agent. Okay. Containing a list of 3 useful website. I don't think I need to say link. Okay, just say website, useful website about AI agent. And provide link between these 2 pages. If you want to be specific, I mean index.html and resource.html. Okay, roughly, you can be a little bit fuzzy, but the more precise, the better, relatively speaking. But sometimes fuzzy will be good because they may actually use certain feature that better than what you have in mind. Got it? This is a little tricky. Usually in Tom and Jimmy will say, be precise, be specific. But on the other hand, sometimes you want to be a little bit fuzzy and open-ended and see what the AI tool can come up with, which may be better than your original idea. Make sense? Okay. So they're cranking. They are reading your file, by the way. The agent have access to your local file, but should be only limited to this folder, not reading like your bank account information. Okay. But you never know. Okay. But hopefully that's the case. Let's see. So the resource file has been created. Okay. And add link between the 2 page that has been done. Let me get rid of it so we can see a little bit better. Get a rid of tag. So I'm going to, that's kind of the navigation, the CU style sheet. I'll keep it. That's kind of the navigation from home page to resource page. So I'll keep it. Resource page. Okay, so I think it's all good. I always have this page, homepage or whatever page open in the browser so I can just refresh, get the most up to date, go to agent source, back to bio or homepage. Okay. Let's see when they're LangChain. Yeah, they actually find the website for you. I didn't say what website related to AI agent. I just say AI agent. So you can imagine the large language model said, oh, you need something related to AI agent. Let me find some website related to this topic, and I will create the HTML linking to those websites, right? That's all done for you. You're not telling them. Certainly, if you know I need a specific three website, then you tell them. But if you say, hey, go and you didn't even say go and search for it. They kind of read your mind and you want me to search, right? I assume. So I'm going to go and get it for you. Make sense? Okay. So to some extent, it's almost like I'm thinking out loud and maybe sometimes related to, it's almost like you have a colleague new colleague, you really don't know how, you have to get used to them, right? Sometimes some colleague, you have to tell them step 1, 2, 3, do this. Okay. Some colleagues like, just tell me what you want. Don't tell me how to do it. Okay. It's kind of hidden language is like, I'm smart enough. You don't have to tell me how to do it. Just tell me what you want. I'll do it for you. Okay. Then you tell them. But if you find out they screw up, so next time you say, okay, I think I better tell you a little bit more. Okay. So that's when you deal with AI agent, it's the same thing. Sometimes they may not be super powerful, sometimes they screw up. Then you decided what's the best way to communicate with them. Be precise, be a little bit flexible, let them use their talent to do things kind of surprise you and please you. That may happen. Make sense? Okay. So, um, okay. So we're good. You're half done, by the way, with the project, right? We just need another 2 pages. Make sense? This is fun in terms of we may call this vibe coding. So which means to some extent, although I try to explain a little bit HTML coding, but we're not really formally introducing HTML. Okay, which can take like 2, 3 hours, 6 hours if I include. But now I'm not saying don't learn HTML coding. I still think learning some basic is important. Okay. But this kind of give you, it's more rewarding, like, wow. I mean, frankly speaking, I don't know how to make this circle for a photo myself. That surprised me. That pleased me. So, and by the way, although you may be using AI agent we call it coding agent. Okay, sometimes we call it AI assisted programming, pair programming, vibe coding, and the most advanced form, which is kind of what we're using. It's called coding agent. Okay, and they do generate stuff, but don't just submit whatever they generate because I do want the website reflecting your experience. Okay. But certainly if there's something that's maybe borderline privacy issue, you want, for instance, phone number, you don't want to tell me your phone number, just you can fake it. Okay. Assuming there's a phone number somewhere and you don't want that to be revealed, and then you can use whatever number. But try to make it as real as possible. Like photo, I do want to have a photo of yours. Okay. And should we continue vibe coding? Okay, kind of do another 2 page. Okay. So we can almost kind of get the project 70%, 80% done. Wow, what was that? Oh, Yeah. The nice thing about the tool, if you look at here, I didn't even know I happened to bump into it. Background color. Nobody know what the number is, but you can come here and adjust it and change the color, change the number here. Okay, that's a little example, but to show you that it's nice to have a nice tool. Okay, otherwise, who know what that number is supposed to be? So I know the color that I want. Okay, I think that also, yeah, that's the same. Okay, well, that's a nice feature. I didn't even know they can do that. Explore, okay, and find out certain feature. So we need another two other page. Come back here. And by the way, it may be it depends. Here they say enable current file context. Let's see. Oop. Oh, I see. I click that. Okay. You may want to highlight a particular page. Sometimes it may not matter. If you look at here, that's index.htm. That if I click, that's resource.htm. I'm not sure whether I believe you can add. What is that? Add context. Um, you say and index.htm. So I can add it. I want you to pay attention to the two files that I have. They may be smart to read your folder and know what the file you're referring to, but if you do this, that's kind of more precise. Okay. What I just did is click this paperclip, and then I just say, oh, I want you to pay attention to this file, this image whatsoever. Okay, that may be a better context for them to think about things. Then what are we missing? We need a resume page. We need a form page. Let's try the form page, which is a little more complicated. And so, as I mentioned, form is for you to capture the some data from the user so they can submit the data to you and to the web server. Web server doesn't, by the way, web server job is if you have some web page, you put it on a server, people hit the URL pointing to a particular page, they return it. Okay, that's all. Request and return, nothing else. Doesn't do anything. It's a document server to some extent. But in order to a web server to do dynamic thing, processing data, when when you when your page has a form, they fill out the data, they send it back to you. The form action attribute pointing to your program, they will send the data captured through your form to that program, processing that, generate something dynamically in the format of HTML, return it back to you. Web server doesn't do anything, just return that dynamic generated web page back to you. That's what you see. Order confirm. Oh, this is what you send me. I got it. Thank you. Something like that. We're not learning that, but because I have written one for you. So I want a form. We just say it's a survey. Okay. You come up with your own scenario. Okay. So I don't want to see like everybody doing the same kind of survey because you work on it independently. Sometimes you may have similar things. That's fine. But shouldn't be identical because even you're using AI agent. So here I'm going to say survey. It's like what create survey.html page study student. attitudes towards AI and generative AI. Let me just say generative AI. Okay. Once again, it's a little bit vague. I didn't say you should have this, ask this question, that question. I mean, you're welcome to say, I want to know about this from the student about their attitude. So create a list of questions based on the question I provided to you. Okay. And by the way, there's another way is like you go to Gemini or ChatGPT, say, I want to conduct a survey about students' attitude towards generative AI. Can you suggest what will be the most interesting topic that I should ask the student? And they come up with the question, and you review the question, you revise the question, and then you copy and paste it over here. That's the question I want to ask. Make sense? So you potentially were using multiple tools. Okay. I think I mentioned a concept called knowledge pipeline. Roughly speaking, it's like we have different AI tool, whatever tool, including AI power tool. A lot of time we're using multiple tool and go through multiple step kind of workflow to get things done. Okay. Don't limit yourself to just a single tool. Okay. But here why don't we do that? So you don't have to do this step, but let's try. Let me try Gemini. Let me just to keep it simple, give me to keep it simple, like 5 survey question to study. Be more precise. College students' attitude towards generative AI. Wow, addressing ethical concern, analyzing AI impact, formulating question. Well, this is very thorough, more than what I wanted. They even like tell you why it matter, why you want to ask. Okay. Question, is a typical week, how frequently do you use generative AI tool? Daily, 3, 4 times a week, whatever, checklist, brainstorm idea. Okay. It's a little more complicated than I thought, but why don't we still just copy it and see what happened? Okay, just have fun of it. Vibe. I don't know what vibe mean to you. Vibe just like, yeah, just let's play. Let's see. This is how I feel. Let's try it. Okay. And by the way, the term vibe coding, I think just started maybe about a year ago. Okay. Attitude towards using here I didn't even mention HTML forms. Okay. Let's intentionally leave that out and see when their system kind of smart, you're doing a survey, they kind of should know that, oh, I need to use a form. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Got it? Okay, that's kind of a lot of time. I mean, this is kind of experimenting because a lot of time, not that I try to test its limit, I just say over time, when you experiment a little bit, you kind of get a feeling the capability of the system. And over time, you know how to communicate with them more properly. sometimes more precisely, sometimes more open-ended. I would like to help you to draft introduction paragraph for your survey to here instead of a question, I'd say draft introduction paragraph for my survey. I never thought about that. Okay, I just give me a list of questions, ask this question. Formal survey, you need, let's say, hey, I'm conducting survey for this class for this purpose, and that's the introduction. Makes sense. This is why large language model can be very useful because they read millions of survey. They know what it looks like. They kind of eventually form that kind of general template. They know, oh, for survey, you need an introduction. Okay. If you're new to this field, you don't think about it. If you're an expert, you probably know you need that, right? Let's see how this works. And by the way, you can do a simple one on your end, but I'm just showing you. I'm doing vibe coding. Okay. It's very interesting. Sometimes you look at what the step by step, the thought process and what they plan and start creating survey.htm with an intro paragraph, multiple question using radio button, checkbox, including demographic query for thoroughness. That's good. I'm not sure whether that may be something they added by themselves. Okay. Three file has changed. Although I only asked for survey page, why they're changing three file, we'll find out. Okay. If you know the answer, certainly tell me before we investigate. I kind of know what's going on. I'll just keep that. So that's the resource page. Without looking at the detail, let's see what happened. This is the one. Yep. Back to bio. So that's the form. Student attitude towards generative AI. Wow, the survey explore how student, whatever, that's the intro. Utility gap. Wow, they even have that kind of construct, this more academic term. That's based on my something generated by Gemini. Perceived learning impact, good. Ethical threshold, which are following do you believe should be considered academic misconduct? Select all that apply. So they're using checkbox, radio button, and then, okay, demographic is at number 5. Yeah. Oh, demographic, I think they add that on top of what Gemini asked. Okay, because hey, by the way, we need to have demographic. Okay, so this is where they throw in their intelligence, even though we did not explicitly tell them that's what we want, but they say, hey, I think you need this. Okay, let me do it for you. Okay, but certainly you review it and see whether that's appropriate. Okay, so let's see. Let me just say, oh, by the way, why they changed 3 file? Earlier they say, oh, I changed all 3 file.
Have it at the top for navigation menus, like.
They add the link among those 2 existing pages to bring back and forth, right? Okay. Let me fix something. I'll just say, well, I like to have a consistent navigation bar on the top that all pages can link to each others. And let me just make it a little bit more challenge. And when I this is where I need to struggle even a little bit of how to describe what I want to say. If not in the technical term, make the current page link on the navigation bar dim. Okay, if it work out, I'll tell you what I mean. You probably know what that means. Because that navigation bar is not very consistent. Okay, earlier it wasn't that consistent. I don't like that style. That's why I'm at this modification. And because of that, they have to make changes to the other two pages. Okay. And by the way, you can just say keep and they will just keep it. Another way, just like you can view red is what they want to delete. The green is what they're going to add. Technically, this is called differences. Differences of the original version, a new version, they color coded. The red is something they're going to remove. The new is something they're going to add to it. Okay. So you can certainly say ignore, undo, or keep. And usually my experience I'll just say keep. Or sometimes you actually say keep here. This is one segment at a time. Okay. And let's see. Any surprise? Refresh. File. AI agent resources. AI survey. Now you know Dean, right? AI survey is Dean because I'm at the AI survey page. Make sense? Doesn't make sense for you to click on the AI survey. You're here. Okay. And so if I click, even it's clickable, you're still seeing this page. The dim is a visual hint you're here. Make sense? Okay. That's good. Okay. Not perfect. I usually like the bracket vertical bar, but I'm not that picky. You can revise it. You can say beautify my navigation bar, doing some color coding. Because I don't particularly like it because if you look at the gap between those items, it kind of blurs, so it's not very clear. Okay, in my opinion. Okay. And by the way, you can be a UI expert. User interface design. That's kind of you become picky. Like we improve this a little bit and doing whatever. If you do this, for the phone page, you're okay, but it's not done. What's missing? Anybody remember? What's missing regarding the phone page? There's a requirement. You can read the requirement. Oh, let me come back here. If I'm a survey page, the difference between radio button and checkbox, radio button in this group, you can only choose one, right? Like your car radio. We call it radio button, car radio, right? Listen to one station at a time. Checkbox, you can check all of them, none of them, one of them. And eventually, hopefully, we have that. Oh, this is bad. There's a major problem in this form design. What's wrong? Anybody? What's wrong with this? There's no way to see it. There's no way to see it. Yeah, we're missing the submit button. Huh? We filled out the form, but we're not submitting That, that's not a very intelligent mistake. Well, it's not smart enough. They should know a form should have a submit button. Okay, this is unexpected. I was hoping that they know they need to have a submit button.
Well, what if we have to choose, answer all, you have to answer all of them, right, possible?
Supposedly you should answer all of them.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
answer-
if I answer, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I know what you're getting into. It could be. Because I didn't answer all of them, so they refused to have even show me the submit button. That's what you're saying, right? Let's see. Okay, I think I select everything. No, still no submit button. So yeah. Even that's the case. There's several ways to deal with that situation. You still have a submit button, but still. Until you select everything, or another way, we're talking about utility-based design, is that you do have a submit button, they can submit, but the system internal have JavaScript code to check something that's required. And then if they've been selected, they will highlight, say, oh, you need to fill out this. Okay. And that require client-side JavaScript to do that. Okay, but that's a common approach. So this is where you definitely need to check and you have an idea what you want. And so, hey, I'll just say, let me be vague. I didn't even say which page. Hopefully they figure out, see whether they're smart enough. And by the way, for the current so-called large language model, which we'll probably talk about next week, it's all about the context, the power of the current large language model, because they can understand broader context. So when I say the submit button for the form, they would read that context and say, oh, you must be referring to that page which has a form. Got it? That's how they think. Enough, if it worked. Okay. Let me just take care of it all in one shot. Allow me to go back to my requirement document. Because you do need to submit to this particular program. Okay. So there's a different way you can say the action attribute of the phone tag should be pointing to this particular program, or you can be a little bit high level and say the phone data should be handle, let me try different ways, or should be processed, handle, or submitted to by this program. By let's see. Adding phone action and submit button, so they know exactly what they have to do, right? Add the submit button and set the phone to post to the provided handler, so they understand what I'm saying. Okay. Although I didn't say it in a very technical way, but they understand. Okay. This, to some extent, kind of so-called vibe coding is about that people who may not be very technical knowledgeable, as long as you can still describe what you want in a way that's clear enough, if not technical, the system most likely can figure it out. Let's just say keep it. And by the way, this is where, let me get rid of the chat. Oops, sorry. This is the phone. This is the phone tag action attribute pointing to the program. Don't worry too much. There's a method called get and post. We're using post. And then this is the phone element, okay, with radio button, group of radio button, checkbox, and etc. And eventually there's an end of the phone element when you close the form, when you're done with the form. Let's see what happened. Let me have a few choices. This is tricky one, ethical, but I'm not sure whether my program at backend is good enough. The program that I wrote at the backend is a kind of generic one, so the response may not be pretty at all, but just tell you what you submit. Okay, not doing any processing. Submit survey. Future anxiety on. Okay, I may need to change my server-side program. It's not perfect. Let me, hold on a second. Learning impact, hallucination, future anxiety. Continue. Let me try submit again. Year, major. It's working, but not exactly the way I would. It's not your problem. It's my problem. Okay, the server-side program is not generic enough. The on is the checkbox on radio. Oh, I see. Usage frequency. Let's go back and check the code a little bit. Let's just focus on the first one. Okay. Sometimes there's too many of them. You focus on the utility gap. Usage frequency. Yeah, usage frequency is, let's see. Oh, I see. Name, they use ID. It shouldn't be ID. I think it should be value. I'm thinking out loud. Let me get out of the environment a little bit. This where you may need to tap a little bit more advanced knowledge, but let's try whether we can resolve it. Let me use ChatGPT. I'm not getting the phone data properly at the server side. The phone, part of the phone looks like, I'm not giving the whole thing. You can certainly do that, but let's see what they say. I think it's the ID. Probably shouldn't use ID, should be value, I think. Yeah, you don't have a value. So that's where my HTML knowledge come to the rescue. Not come to the rescue. That's what I suspected. Okay. And they also don't have require, so nothing may be sent if the user never select one. So they're actually they add this value. Okay. Great. So we know what to tell the agent in VS Code. The reason I jump out because I just want to make sure I'm on right track, such that I'm telling the system to do the right thing. Just say phone element. Most of the phone element, that's kind of technical term, should have the value attribute such that just to make it a little bit more clear, that's probably sufficient, such that the server side program can get the data properly. Update the code. Okay, you probably don't need to say that. Large language model sometimes can read your mind. Okay, when I say they kind of know your intention, although you're not very specific in explaining your intention in those parts. The challenge is in your phone time. Where is your survey? Do you have it? Not it's in the bottom. Right, inside the phone, you have this action phone attribute. You can use the AI agent to help you with that. Let me show the code just again. This is what, let me just skip it. There's a phone tag. The action attribute is where you tell the HTML form where to send the data to. So it's space action attribute equal to, in double quote, the URL provided in your assignments requirement. Got it? Okay. So let's come back. So that's done. So we come back here. Oh, I better refresh. There's another thing when you update your page and it's all local, you still need to say refresh. They would load the updated page and reflect the change. Otherwise, if I just say submit, it's still the old page in the working. Nothing changed, but internally, hopefully they add a value attribute. So 3 to 5 times a week, summarizing, drafting. So that's better. Okay. It's still not perfect. You may not notice, but I know there's something not as good as I wanted. I'll point it out.
Should look like when you submit.
That's what it looks like, roughly speaking. Okay, so if you see something like that, at least have like your variable name and the value in your code, then you're okay. Okay. If something does not show up perfectly. It could be. I can tell you what may be wrong. I choose summarize reading and drafting outline, two of them in this question, and submit it. But if you look at the result, they only show one of the checkbox, not two of them. They only say summarizing. They didn't say creating outline. Okay, that's why, that's my problem. That's the server side problem. It's not your problem. Okay. Earlier, this didn't show up. It just say on, whatever. That's the problem of the code, the HTML code. Okay. Any question? Is it okay? Okay. So over time, you find out that, yeah, and just what I showed you earlier, certainly we're not talking about server-side program per se. I'll see whether I have a chance to update the server-side program. But in your case, if you see something like this, you probably okay. To play safe, usually you may want to not play safe. Something can be more obvious. You can just say add to just keep it simple. A text box, just a data entry text box, and ask user to enter his or her name. Okay. A minor change, because so far we all have the radio button checkbox, so it's a little bit. Now you find out it's called input type text ID name participant. Allow me to get rid of it. Do they have value? Placeholder your name require. They forgot the value again. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me think about it. Let's try. Okay. Instead of blaming them, it may work. Oh, in this case, you don't need value. The value comes from the whatever the user enter. For radio button checkbox, you need to have value. Okay. So let's try it again. So do design the survey, pick an area that you're interested in, design some survey. It doesn't have to be too complicated. And try to use radio button, checkbox, text box, even text area. Yes.
So like we can literally do the survey on anything, right? Like
Yeah.
sports and exercise or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, it doesn't have to be MIS related.
Doesn't,
Okay, thank you.
whatever you like to find out. And try to use various like text box, checkbox, radio button. There's something called text area, which means people can write longer text. That's called text area. Read the I'll point out the HTML slide deck, kind of lay out different font element style that you can use, and try to use hopefully all of them. Okay. But let's see. That's Minder Chen that show up. Okay. Very basic, nothing fancy, but kind of whatever you send me, I'll just return that and show you that that's what I received. That's all. Okay. The only thing is for when you do multiple choice of the checkbox group, I'm not showing multiple value. Okay, that's my mistake. That's something I may need to fix, but don't worry, even it's not fixed, no point will be deducted. Okay. If you have a text box, input text box, you enter something, you should be able to see it. But once again, when the first time when you run it, this may not, you may get an error, you need to resubmit it because the server-side program may not be activated right away. Takes about a minute to activate. And then when you test it, after that, it should be working. Let me just show you the other information. We didn't go through that, but you're encouraged to study it in the module. For the HTML, the learning material. This is the HTML slide deck. This is the video like the old-fashioned way using the very basic Notepad, doing like how to create what is tag, what is so-called markup, how to create link, how to create tag for image, how to create table, how to create form. Basically everything we're using for those 4 pages. Okay. You can read the detail, and there's a video explaining that using Notepad. We're not using AI at all. This one, don't worry about it. And then let's just download this a little bit. Let me explain the form, particularly. Then we'll consider done. So start working on it. You have about 10 days, like next week class, and then Friday next week, it will be due. So if you have question, certainly contact me, but still next week, we still have chance to kind of review a few things. You can bring your question, send me some information, tell me that, and then we can answer it. Either I can answer it by email or in class. This is good stuff, very basic, but tell you what HTML is. Okay, explain things very clearly. I used to do, this is a long time ago, I do HTML training. This probably is a 6 hours training class. Okay. And by the way, you say, what do I really need to learn HTML? It's still beneficial because sometimes you may have some other high-end tool. You can create, for instance, just like the CI website, some of the staff member maintaining various page, they have a content management system to maintain that. But sometimes certain things very tricky, they need to switch to HTML mode to look at the HTML code occasionally, not very frequently. Form, input, a text box, checkbox, can be multiple of them with the same name. That means they belong to the same group. Drop-down list box, I don't have it in the example earlier. That's text area. And we have submit button. Sometimes we have something called reset button, which means you reset everything to its default value, usually just clean it up. Okay. And this is extra, just this actually is an image button. It's clickable. And this is simplest form. This doesn't work anymore, but I used to be able to write a server-side program on a faculty server here, but they took out that server. I didn't like it, but that's what happened. That's the input text box. Input type text. Name is important. That's the variable name. Okay. That eventually I will recognize, and then a value, whatever the user submitted, will be associated with the name. So on the server side, I say, oh, that name has this value. I just create a dynamic generated page and return that back to you. Oh, you submit You submit guest name, which is Minder Chen, and some back to you. This is submit button. This is reset button. So this is simplest form. And in the previous server-side program, I render it back like this. Okay. This is a little bit what's going on. You request a page, which is HTML form. Server return it to you. You fill out the data, you send it to the server. Server doesn't do anything. Web server doesn't do anything. Send it to the server-side program to handle the data you submitted. The server-side program receive the data, generate HTML page based on the parameter you provided. Back to the server. Server doesn't do anything. Return that right back to the browser, to the user. So that's kind of the round trip. Okay. Two round trip, kind of. Phone action is where the program has to be. We usually use post, not get, but both will work supposedly. Input tag, select text area. Input is a little bit, input can be text box, radio button, checkbox, etc. The detail is not, you can study it. This is a more comprehensive one. This is what it looks like. And this is the code behind.